Hi there guys, hope you're well and welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you can hear me okay. This video today is going to be a massive list of Mandela effects along with what could potentially be a meaning behind why these specific effects have taken place. I'm currently in my mind, so I've been affected, for anyone that hasn't been on this channel before, I've been affected by the Mandela effect for about 6 to 7 months now. And there are about 3 to 4 theories that I think could be plausible for the cause of this Mandela effect. But this list that I've made here, these are ones that I've been documenting on my channel over the, 6-month period or however long it's been. And I also did a video a few months back which was along the same lines of this video here, but this is more of an updated list as to... So I believe that if this is man-made, this Mandela effect, i.e. CERN, i.e. quantum computing, these could be potential calling cards, they could be potential clues. Again, I could be clutching at straws. You make the decision up for yourself after you've heard what I have to say with regard to this. But it's either a parallel dimension that we've shifted consciousness to, dimensions have merged. What other effects? So CERN have had a part to do in this. Yeah. Just trying to think off the top of my head there, but I'll just get straight on with the list. Sorry, I haven't long been up, as you can see. I'm in my dressing gown still. So I'll go straight into it. The Volkswagen logo. Most of you will know that that one has changed. So there's now a separation between the V and the W. This could be, again, I'm just going to rattle through these lists, through this list here. This could be a sign of 666. So V and W, it's now got a separation between it. In, I believe it was Hebrew, the V or the Vav, I believe it's called, also equates to the number 6. Now if you look at a W is effectively 2 V's put together. So it's V, V, V. Again, may or may not be. The Volvo logo. It now has an arrow pointing out of it, depicting the sign of masculinity, also known in, I believe it was Greek mythology, if I remember. Mars, the god of war, that was the logo for that, the logo for war. So lazy boy chairs. So these aren't something that are big in the UK, but I did happen to know about these chairs because I was looking into them before because... yeah, for their purpose. And that has now changed to lazy boy. So it's now missing the Y. I don't know, maybe it's... This one I don't actually have any answers for what I think it may be. It could, I mean, it could literally be in the title itself. Lazy. Could be something to do with that. I don't know. So just to clarify the situation, with some of these I don't have an answer for. Some of them I do. Hopefully you may hear a new effect that you haven't previously heard as well. So Hitler's eye colour is now blue. From my understanding, the whole joke was that he had brown eyes, and it was a bit hypocritical that he was trying to create this super Aryan race, I guess. I don't have an answer as to why this one is. I don't know, your guess would be as good as mine. So there's a new one that I just posted about the other day. So the Bee Gees song, How Deep Is Your Love? Probably one of their biggest songs along with Staying Alive. Many other groups and what have you have covered it. I know the line in there as I really need to know. Whereas it now says I really need to learn. To me that's quite self-explanatory. If we're going on the proviso that there are clues within these changes, then I really need to learn. I don't really need to explain that one there. So Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson. So for anyone that's seen this channel before, has maybe heard any of my singing or any of the other songs that I've written myself, Michael Jackson was the reason that myself and probably millions of other people got into music or singing in the first place. My favourite artist. This is one song that I listened to many, many times. Smooth Criminal, on the first verse. And I'm highlighting that because when I posted the videos, people, I don't think, were realising what I was actually saying on there, even though it is explicitly written on there. On the first verse of Smooth Criminal, it now says hit by twice. You know, you've been hit by. Whereas I know it as saying, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. So that could, if there is a clue, it could be to do with the actual main title of the song, Smooth Criminal. It could be criminal what's happening, I don't know. Struck by or hit by. Maybe we've been struck by or hit by something. Again, I'm clutching at straws a bit on that one. I haven't really thought too deeply as to what that one could be. Maybe someone else can chime in on that one. This one to me is a huge one with regard to the actual effect itself, plus what I believe it could potentially mean. So I'm sure most of you that have been looking into the Mandela effect know this one. Queen, We Are the Champions. At the end of the song, on the CD and radio version, because I hadn't heard the Live Aid version until I was looking into this Mandela effect, it goes, of the world, and then he holds like an extended note to finish the song off, because that's the bit where everyone in a club or a pub when it's closing is kind of celebrating and of the world, and yeah, that's no longer there. For me, that one is almost hitting me in the face saying of the world, and I'm going to liken this to some religious things that are on the list as well, because there is a religious passage, I believe, I'm not quoting it verbatim. Again, if anyone's seen my videos before, I'm not particularly religious. I am spiritual, not particularly religious as such. But there is a verse that says to be in the world but not of the world, which from my interpretation of that, again, I apologize if I'm getting this particular one wrong, but being of the world is loving things like materialism and I guess worldly things. When you're so concerned about your promotion at work, you're so concerned about the new car that you're going to get, etc. Whereas we should be in the world because we're born into it to learn for whatever reason on a spiritual level, I believe anyway, but not to be of the world. So Pikachu, probably the most famous Pokemon character. So when Pokemon first came out, to say I was big on Pokemon would be an understatement. I was collecting cards, watching cartoons. This was like the biggest cartoon when I was younger, when this came over to the UK. I remember Pikachu having a black tip on the end of his tail, whereas now he just has a yellow tail, just a plain yellow tail. I don't know with this one if there is a specific clue in there. If there is, maybe if someone else again can chime in on this one. I don't know what this is. I mean, it could be that I need a tip on this one. You never know. That was a bit cheesy there. But Cruella de Vil, the villainous lady in the Disney film of 101 Dalmatians, her name has now changed its spelling as to how I remembered it as well. So it is now spelled kind of like Cruella Devil. Again, and I remember looking at a documentary on this before, because in a lot of films there are a lot of subliminal suggestions, to say the least, whether it's in someone's name. I've talked about this briefly in a video before. Often if you see the name Lucy in a song or in a film, it often depicts Lucifer. So Lucy. You'll also have in the newest Westworld film, I believe, so there's a character in there called Will. I believe that I've often encountered the name Will in programs and in films and what have you as willpower, as in willpower, the will of the person. And there are other names along these lines. So Alice is another one that is an interesting name that you will find in films and books and what have you, as in Alice in Wonderland. Also one of the, I believe it was one of the telescopes, if I remember, or one of the Hadron Colliders at CERN is called Alice, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure it was. So Cruella de Vil now is Cruella Devil. C-3PO, the character in the robot type character in Star Wars that I had personal memories of him being all gold. I actually had a figurine of him being all gold. He now has a silver leg, or to be more specific, the lower half of his leg on one of the legs, on one of the sides. Could this be something to do with the golden calf? So a golden calf in the Bible, this was something that was worshipped, that from my understanding God wasn't too happy about people worshipping a golden calf that they'd made up. Again, I'm possibly quoting scripture incorrectly. I'm not a religious scholar or anything. So that's C-3PO. So Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin, he is now white. This may or may not be a Mandela effect, and I don't know what the reasoning behind this would be. But again, I've done a previous video where I researched this, and I'm very surprised that he's now a white man, put it that way. This one was a big one for me. The Monopoly Man no longer has a monocle. This is a huge one. And yesterday I was discussing with my mum about the Mandela effect, and cause she still doesn't get it. She doesn't believe it. And when I said about a monocle, I said, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? And she did this. Which I don't know, hopefully you can see that properly on the camera. That sign there, which is very, very interesting that she would do that as a sign. For anyone that's looked into symbolism, in particular in the music industry, you'll see that that is extremely prevalent in pretty much most mainstream artists will be doing that at some stage. So that is 666. My pinky's a bit damaged, so it probably looks a bit weird on this camera. But that is 666 if you look at what I'm doing there. That same sign is in the CERN logo as well. Now people might say, oh, you're seeing things, you can see whatever you want to see if you stare long enough and all the rest of it. These are just my opinions. These are my views. Yeah. But anyway, I just thought it was very interesting that she would do that. So also a monocle. What would you be using a monocle for? To improve your sight, or to give you sight in one eye? So maybe it's that we're not seeing the full picture. Maybe it is that we're concentrating on something. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud with regard to what that one could potentially mean. So there's a film called A Few Good Men, and there is a scene in it where one of the characters says, you want the truth, you can't handle the truth. That is no longer there. So that's another change. There is residue in The Simpsons, and I believe Family Guy had residue of this one as well. Again, that to me seems quite self-explanatory. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth. That has been changed. So yeah. Okay, so the Capricorn symbol. So I'm a Capricorn. It was actually my birthday yesterday, and I can tell you I've now been a Capricorn for 30 years, and I'd never heard of a mergoat or a mergoat or a goat man, I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I had never heard of this until I was looking into the Mandela effect. Never ever heard of it in a horoscope. When you're looking at your astrological charts, I'd never heard of a mergoat or a... There's another name in there that they use, goat man. Let's just call it goat man for now. So that's a change anyway. So, life is like a box of chocolates. This is the one that got me interested in the Mandela effect in the first place. This is probably one of the big ones. That now says it in... Oh, sorry, going back to Capricorn. So what is Capricorn? A goat. what is Baphomet or the devil depicted as a goat? Again, might be no connection. Maybe I'm seeing things. I don't know. Life is like a box of chocolates has now changed to life was like a box of chocolates. Could it be something to do with life was before it changed? Could it just be talking about past tense? I'm not 100% sure on that one. So we got the Disney Sleeping Beauty, I believe this was from. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Has now changed to magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? So again, when I'm saying one as well, there are other theories out there that where the realities have merged or that the dimensions are now singular. This could be alluding to that as well. Who's the fairest one of all? But I personally think mirror, mirror. Okay, so you're looking at a reflection. What is a mirror? It shows you a reflection, but almost in reverse, kind of. A mirror image. So could it be something to do with that? We've got the Kit Kat chocolate. And again, when I made a video of this initially, someone was saying about Kit Kat tires or something like that, or some other Kit Kat brand that I'd never heard of. Kit Kat has lost the hyphen. So again, with this one, this would lend weight to the other theory that everything is unifying. Because Kit Kat no longer has a hyphen. I can't think of any other explanation for that. So there's a chocolate in the UK that I'm not 100% sure on this one, but the chocolate is now called Blue Riband, whereas I am 90% sure the chocolate was called Blue Ribbon. I didn't even know what a riband was because I have never heard of that in another sentence before. So I actually had to look up what a riband was. Again, that could just be negligence on my part, maybe not. But I can't think of any meaning of what that is. So Wizard of Oz, this is a very interesting one here. Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow now has a revolver, and there are apparently a few other changes in there. So I don't know this film well enough to say what has changed, when it's changed, etc. But there were many people when I put this video up that explicitly said that they remember the Scarecrow not having a gun. Now, The Wizard of Oz is, in my opinion, a massively metaphorical film with regard to how I believe. Again, I'm using my own beliefs here, so don't get crazy on the comments and whatnot. How this world is run in a Wizard of Oz type way, I guess. Even when I look at things such as Bin Laden, the whole situation with regard to him, very much Wizard of Oz style, very much someone behind the curtain controlling a big bad robot or a big bad villain in real life that maybe doesn't exist. Yeah, there's many metaphors in Wizard of Oz. That's for another video. So there's the Jaws film. You're going to need a bigger boat. So this is an interesting one because previously people said it. So I don't know this one. I've only seen the Jaws film since researching the Mandela effect. I know I'm probably about 30 years too late to actually be watching it, but there you go. So Jaws used to say apparently we are going to need a bigger boat. So the scene is where Jaws, the shark, is attacking them when they're in the boat. So it would make sense to say we are going to need a bigger boat as opposed to you're going to need a bigger boat. Again, I'm not quite sure if there is a sign or anything within that. Silence of the Lambs. Excuse me. So Silence of the Lambs. There is a scene where the character says, "Hello, Clarice," in like a real creepy voice. I have only seen Silence of the Lambs since looking at this Mandela effect, and I watched the film the whole way through, intently waiting for that line. It didn't come. Again, I can't say if it was or wasn't there before personally, because I had never seen it until this. And I'm also not sure if there is a message in that. Berenstain Bears has now changed to Berenstain Bears. So I didn't know who they were until, or what they were, until the Mandela effect. But just in the name itself. So Stein has now changed to Stain. What's a stain? It's bad, it's dirty, it's... Again, I'm not 100% sure if there is a meaning in that, but the word stain is the part that's changed. So the big bad wolf. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. That has now changed. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. So this is interesting that it's got a wolf revolving around this change, because there is a major biblical change that involves a wolf also. So wolves are typically seen as darker creatures, like cunning, deceptive to a certain degree. So you'd hear the phrase "a wolf in sheep's clothing." So moving on to the Bible changes. So, "Judge not, lest ye be judged," has apparently never existed, which is probably the first phrase that I ever learned from a Bible when we had to learn about it in secondary school and high school and primary school. Purely for the fact that for me, that's how I want to live. I don't really want to judge people. I'm happy for people not to judge me. Because until you've walked in someone's shoes, you don't know exactly why they make their decisions, so to speak. The Lord's Prayer is also now different than I remember it. This is something that in school... Oh, the focus lost on the camera there. This is something that in school almost got ingrained into you, because you'd have to say it every day in assembly. "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." So yeah, you get the gist. That's changed. Now there's another bit that I didn't know of in the Bible, but there is more than enough residual evidence to suggest that it was this way. So the lion lay down with the lamb is now the wolf laid down with the lamb. So again, going back to that wolf in sheep's clothing. I don't know. You've got the huff and the puff, blow your house down. That's a wolf. Then you've got this. The lion, the lamb is now the wolf and the lamb. So you've got the wolf again. There are probably more. There are a few more Bible changes, but I haven't documented them all on here. So you've got in the Bob Marley song. What song is that called again? "Three little birds sat on my doorstep." So there's a part in the song. It goes, "Three little birds sat on my doorstep." I remember it as "sat on my doorstep," because this was one of my favourite songs that he sang. But now it says "three little birds perched," or no, pitched on my doorstep. Which, again, because I do songwriting, there's certain words that you use that kind of cut through a song. And pitched, it almost throws off the... not the melody as such, but the feel and the sound of the song when you say pitch, because it's a very sharp word. So there's certain words that just flow better. And I've learned that from my experience of writing songs myself. I'm not saying I'm the best songwriter in the world, but I'd say I'm a decent standard. You've also got Looney Tunes has now changed to Looney Tunes. So this is a very, very interesting one for me personally, because I remember years ago seeing Looney Tunes, because when I was a kid I used to watch like Sylvester and Tweety Pie and Bugs Bunny, all the rest of them doing their stuff. And later on I did see it as Looney Tunes, as in a song, I'm whistling a tune. So I've actually seen both on this, which is really peculiar, because I just remember thinking as well, when I saw the tunes, I remember thinking, oh, I could have sworn it was tunes. Maybe they've just changed it for whatever reason. But this was years ago again, and it's things like this that make me think that maybe this Mandela effect happened way longer than even when Fiona Broome first came to the conclusion, which, bearing in mind, that was just coming to the conclusion of. So it could have been going on forever. But until it's documented or quantified, then you won't know as such. So I think, so that I would say, going on 20 years ago, I would say I remember seeing tunes 15, 20 years ago easily, because I haven't watched these cartoons in many, many years. So you've got Fruit Loops as well. So, oh, and going back to a possible meaning of Looney Tunes or tunes. Loony, is this whole situation loony? Is the world like a cartoon that we live in? I don't know. Again, I'm just thinking out loud with that one. So we've got Fruit Loops. Again, this isn't a cereal that I was too familiar with, so I can't attest to this change as such. I think this is a bigger cereal in the US, but the spelling of that has now changed. But I do know the term Fruit Loop. If you call someone a Fruit Loop, you're basically calling them crazy. Oh, you're a Fruit Loop. Why did you do that? So yeah, that's quite interesting, just because I know it as a different term. You've also got Captain Crunch, or how it is now known as Captain Crunch. It used to be Captain Crunch, apparently. Again, this is a cereal that I wasn't familiar with too much. Had heard of it, but not to the point where I could say it was either way. So the word captain has changed. What would a captain do? They would sail a ship. A captain would be in control of where things are going. So again, you've got Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, I think is how it used to be, but now it says in this neighborhood. So again, it's changing that perspective of singularity. Again, Mr. Rogers, I hadn't heard of that until I was doing the Mandela effect, so that doesn't personally affect me. Chick-fil-A, that was a big one for many American guys. That's one that we don't have any Chick-fil-A's in the UK that I know of, but the spelling on that has changed. I don't know if there is a message in that as such, none that I can see. This one is a very interesting one. So Wacky Races. I haven't heard many people talk about this one, but I'm 10 billion% sure of what this was, or what I know it as anyway. Not necessarily what it was, because it maybe wasn't this for someone else, but what I know this as. And I couldn't find this version anywhere, so I don't think it's specifically to the UK that they would change the theme song for it. So Wacky Races, you'd have Lady Penelope, Dick Dastardly, Muttley. There were a few other characters I can't remember their names of now, but there was a little segment in there where it would go, catch the pigeon, catch the pigeon, catch the pigeon, catch the pigeon. And it was Dastardly and Muttley would be in this little aeroplane with a net trying to catch the pigeon. Whereas that has now changed to stop the pigeon. So with this one, when I think of pigeons, what's a significant about stopping a pigeon? You would have in a lot of wars, or even back in the day, they would have messenger pigeons. Maybe they still have it nowadays, I don't know. But they would attach little messages, little scrolls onto a pigeon's ankle, and then they would know where to fly. They would be like homing pigeons. So stop the pigeon. Could that be something to do with a message? Again, I could be making all of this up. So if you're gleaming anything from this video, hopefully you're at least, I don't know, garnering a new Mandela effect that maybe you hadn't heard of before. But I've spent hundreds of hours now looking into this effect, and also documenting changes that I believe are changes, if there's enough residual evidence or my own memories to back that up. So in the film Grease, so this is probably, I'd go as far to say top 3 biggest, or one of the biggest musical type films that there are out there, if not the biggest. I remember growing up, all the girls would be watching this. I'd even see guys watching it. It wasn't particularly my cup of tea as such. But I had heard this enough, again, just being in a room with it being on or whatnot, I'd heard this enough to know that the word ultramatic, this was the first time I ever heard about it when I was looking into the Mandela effect. Because it now says ultramatic, like right at the end, where it'd go, ha, Joe-matic. And again, I've done a compilation video where there's big theatre displays that are doing a Grease musical. They're singing it as I know it. You've got famous like boy bands and stuff singing it that way. But all of a sudden, there's ultramatic now, which that stunned me when people actually commented on the video saying they remembered that one, because that is like a brand new word that I'd never even heard of. So the next one is Black Eyed Peas, Boom Boom Pow. So this was quite a divisive one. This was from last month, I believe, where this was kind of brought to life, or brought to light, sorry. So the Black Eyed Peas hit song, Boom Boom Pow. I listened to this song when this came out. This is probably one of my favourite ever Black Eyed Peas songs. This is an interesting one to do with time. So there's a phrase in it where I remember it as, I'm so 2008, you so 2000 and late. I got that boom boom pow. Yeah, so that was my impression of Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas then. Probably pretty poor. But it's now I'm so 3008. So it adds an additional 1,000 years to the actual phrase on there, which is interesting because contextually it makes more sense with it being 3008. However, I would say indefinitely it was not 3008. And also many people have said that the time of when this song came out, so looking on YouTube, the official video for it, I believe, if I remember, was 2009, which again wouldn't make sense if they're saying I'm so 2008. Because I don't know, this is a very strange one. But another one with the album that Boom Boom Pow is on, it's called The End. So is there any message in this? Could it be the end? The end of what? I don't know. The Union Jack. Okay, so as you may be able to tell, I've got an English accent, or a London accent, I guess, to be more specific. The Union Jack. This is one, when I first was aware of this one, I was staring at the flag on Google Images thinking, I couldn't quite tell what it was that was wrong about it, but it just didn't look right. Again, I had the same experience when I was looking at my Pokemon cards when I was staring at Pikachu. I was looking at it and it's like my brain was saying there's something not right about it, but I couldn't. I wouldn't even say it's that I couldn't articulate what wasn't right. I couldn't think of what wasn't right, but I knew something wasn't right with it. I got the same thing when I was looking at the Union Jack. So again, this was quite a divisive one when I put this video up. So there are people that remember this as it is, so it's now non-symmetrical. And people have commented saying they learned about in the RAF that when you hang the flag upside down and you can tell which way it is and whatnot. And then someone else said that it is the same whether it's upside down or not. I mean, what difference that would make a flag is upside down or not, I'm not personally sure. I don't have a military background, so I'm not sure if there is a significance to that, whether that means that they're under siege or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, I remember Union Jack sign being symmetrical. I also remember having trainers called Reebok Classics, which were kind of, they probably still sell them, but they were, I think in the 90s they were kind of the big trainers, like the Air Force Ones, or they were the real big trainers of the time. And they actually had stitching of a little Union Jack on them that was symmetrical, because I used to draw it as well. Also, for anyone that's in the UK, an interesting thing that I saw about this recently. So it came up on my news feed on Facebook. There's a new Big Brother program, and Ray J, the guy who's he's a singer, but he's mostly famous for his sex tape with Kim Kardashian. he entered the Big Brother house and he had a Union Jack shirt on. Now again, this probably isn't an official Union Jack supplier or something like that, but when I looked at the picture, the Union Jack looked how I know it to look, as in symmetrical. So that's just something there. Google that on Google Images. Union Jack, Ray J, Big Brother, or just Ray J entering Big Brother or something like that, and you'll see the Union Jack. Last but not least, Risky Business. So a famous film by Tom Cruise. I had never seen this film before, but there was more than enough residual evidence of other videos that I had seen where people were making parodies of it or just doing their own version of it, and also people that I know that had actually bought this outfit for fancy dress. So he no longer wears Ray-Ban sunglasses, and his shirt is also pink now, whereas it used to be white. So again, this is going back to the Monopoly Man thing with regard to vision and seeing. So sunglasses are, I guess they shield your eyes. So does that mean we're unshielded to the truth now? I don't know. But hopefully, guys, you understand why I've done this video. You can see that I've not monetized any of the videos on this account. So I'm not doing this for profit or to try and like rip people off for views or anything like that. I have not earned a single penny from YouTube. Any videos that are monetized on this video aren't monetized by me. They'll be monetized because I've used a clip from, say, a music video or something for a certain amount of time. So that company decides to monetize the video. I think that's how that works. I'm doing this purely to spread a word, a message. I feel just compelled that I see things a certain way, as do many other people, and I feel like I have the means to make a basic video. I'm using a webcam. I bought this specifically for YouTube purposes. And I hope this helps someone. I hope it may be me doing this list. Hopefully you've either gained a new Mandela effect that you can tell someone about that will hopefully get them on board so that they can see, okay, maybe there is something going on here. Maybe it's given you a different perspective on what this could be. Maybe there are messages in it, maybe there aren't. I don't know. I'm literally looking at all possibilities. Maybe these are calling cards. Maybe there is a scientist that's changed all of these things and they're like, okay, I'm going to change it to this because I want it to be like this. Who knows what it is at this point? But that's all from me, guys. I know this is a long video, but hopefully you've gained something from it. That's all from me. Thanks a lot for your time. Cheers. Bye.